Case statements in IGCSE Computer Science are a type of conditional statements. Their definition is a selection structure used to choose one of several different actions based on the value of a single variable or expression. The reason we use case statements in IGCSE is to avoid spaghetti code, which comes from deeply nested if-then-else statements, making your algorithm cleaner and easier for examiners to read. Spaghetti code refers to nested if-else statements that makes the code confusing to read. Therefore, case statements are a solution for that. For any new programming concept you learn, you have to know the syntax and the logic behind it. So the following is the syntax. If you know the syntax, we're done from the first 50% of the concept. To explain it briefly, we're telling the program that in case that this identifier matches this value, we're going to execute this statement. But in case it matches this value, we're going to execute this statement. And we can go on forever. In the end, we must have an otherwise statement. In case that this identifier did not match any of the values, we're going to execute this statement. And we're going to end the entire case off with an end case. Don't forget the colons, as they are very important and a crucial part of the concept. If you miss your colons, you're going to lose marks. The end case also is very crucial for the 2026 syllabus and above. If you miss it, you're going to lose marks too. An example of the case of statements is as follows. Firstly, we prompt the user to enter 1 to start the program, 2 for options, or 3 to quit. Then we input a string data variable named choice. And then we tell the program, in case that choice contains the value of 1, then we will call the function startGame. In case the value was 2, we're calling the function showOptions. And in the case that the value of choice was 3, we're calling the function quitGame. In case that choice was not 1 or 2 or 3, we're outputting invalid selection. And then we're going to end case. And this is an example of the correct syntax for the case of statements in IGCSE Computer Science. One more thing to take note of is common student mistakes. Firstly, indentation. Inside the case block, we're going to indent each line. And we're going to remove that indent only when we get out of the case statement. Secondly, variable consistency. If you're checking one variable, we cannot check another variable in the same case of statement. We can only check for this one variable in this case statement. If you want to check for another, we're going to have to make another case statements after this one. And finally, data types. If the variable we're checking for is a string, we cannot compare it to an integer or a float. Data types has to be consistent. If we have a certain data type, we have to compare it with the exact same data types in each case inside of our block. If statements is a structure that chooses between two or more paths based on whether a condition is true or false. Unlike loops, an if statement only executes its code block once or not at all before moving on. This is the syntax of an if statement. If the condition right here is true, then we're going to output this statement. Otherwise, we're going to exit the block. This is another type of if statements, if else. So, if the condition here is true, then we're going to output this statement. And then we're going to exit the if statement. However, if the condition right here is false, we're going to execute this statement, and only then will we go out of the if statement.